I'm going to be preparing an easy yet elegant recipe for date night done right or date night dining at home. I'm going to be making shrimp and scallop linguine with fresh vegetables. Now, if you ask my husband or my family members, they will tell you that I'm actually a pretty good cook, so that's a little hidden talent that I have. And I actually enjoy cooking, but don't let that get out because then I'll be cooking all the time. But today I'm going to be using Tuxton Home cookware. I'm very excited to try this out from Tuxton Home. So over here I have the Duratux Professional Cookware. This is the 10-inch open fry pan. Then I have the 8-quart covered stock pot, the 6-quart Dutch oven, and the 1.5-quart covered saucepan. And then if you look over here, I have the Concentrix 3-piece serving bowl set, and these are nesting bowls, so they will stack and store nicely in your cupboard. For this recipe, I'm going to be using the 10-inch fry pan and also the stock pot here to make my noodles. First up, I'm going to fill my stock pot with water to make the noodles. I watched a lot of cooking shows growing up with my family, and I still watch a lot of cooking shows. One thing that I've learned is to start your pasta water with salt, and you want it to taste like the sea or like the ocean, so make sure you add enough salt in there. This salt will help it bring to boil faster, and it will also flavor your pasta. So I'm gonna start that on this burner up here. Now, one thing that I love about this Duratux line is that you don't need to use a high heat on the pan. You actually kind of want to use a like low to medium or medium heat because it will burn the pans and you don't want that to happen. However, something that I love about these pans are that they are both dishwasher safe and you can use them in the oven. So you know what that means. Less cleanup around this kitchen. Next, I am going to get my asparagus ready and I'm going to broil that in the oven quickly and we will go from there. I am preheating my pan now with some olive oil at the bottom of it. Most of the time I just kind of wing things in the kitchen, but like I said, I am following a recipe in this case, and so I'm going to be cooking my scallops in this pan for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, and then I will remove them and set them to the side. As you can see, I am using that nesting bowl from the Concentrix line. It's great whether you want to serve food in or place some of your prepared ingredients in the bowl to the side. While the scallops are cooking, I am going to continue prepping the rest of the ingredients. These are cherry tomatoes, and I am proud to say that they are from our garden. So I'm going to be slicing these in half, like I said, while I wait for the scallops to cook. Another good tip that I've learned from the years of watching cooking shows is that once the scallops are ready to be flipped, you don't have to pull them from the bottom of the pan. They will automatically release and you will get like a golden type of crust on the bottom of them. Don't think they're quite ready yet because they're still pretty stuck to the bottom of the pan. I'm going to turn this down just a bit. Another great tip, so you don't have a bunch of dishes to do after date night, is to always kind of be cleaning up as you go. I love to remind my husband of that one because he's still working on that skill. But I love to clean up as I go because, like I said, then I don't have as much cleanup to do when I'm done cooking. I have pulled the asparagus out of the pan. I have flipped my scallops and I'm just waiting them to finish cooking on the other side. I'm going to be taking these out of the pan and then adding my shrimp and some garlic in there to cook. I'm really excited about using these pans because these are probably like the first real pans that I've ever had, and when I say by real, I mean like professional pans. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I believe in having the correct utensils when it comes to cooking in the kitchen, and I'm just really impressed. I believe that my scallops are done. I'm going to pull them out of the pan and put them in the medium-sized nesting bowl. Also great, like I mentioned, these are perfect for serving food out of or also holding food while you are cooking the rest of the meal. I'm going to just pop these in the microwave so they stay warm. Next I'm going to add, I think it's about like a teaspoon or so of garlic into this pan. One thing you want to do with garlic though is make sure you continue to move it around because it burns pretty easily, and you don't want like a garlic or burnt garlic flavor in your food because it's just not very good tasting. And next I'm just gonna drop these shrimp in. I kind of cheated when it came to the shrimp today. I bought them already peeled and deveined because that'll save you one extra step to do. I'm also a huge fan of seasoning things as I go because that just adds layers of flavor. The recipe doesn't necessarily say to do that, but I'm gonna do it because, hey, maybe that's a little secret tip here. While I am waiting for the shrimp to finish cooking, it's gonna take about 4 to 5 minutes. Shrimp cook fairly fast and they will turn pink once they are ready to be taken out of the pan. I'm going to chop up some basil because we will be using basil later on in the recipe. I am flipping the shrimp over, and one thing I love about these pans is that it heats thoroughly throughout, so you don't have to worry about one part of the pan getting warmer than the other. And these are also great because you can use them on any type of cooktop. I'm removing the shrimp and adding them to the bowl that had the scallops in them and saving them for later. And then I will be adding some white wine to this pan and putting in the tomatoes to cook a little bit. You can just throw the tomatoes into your pasta and they will warm up from the heat of the pasta and everything, but I'm going to cook them a little bit because I'm not a huge fan of raw tomatoes, but I will eat cooked tomatoes. Now it is time to add the wine to the pan, and isn't there some sort of saying that the chef always gets to have a little drink? So pour myself a little bit. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of white wine to this pan I have here, and then put in my tomatoes. And like I said, this recipe is really easy and great because you can just use whatever sort of vegetables you have on hand. So like I had tomatoes in the garden, or if you like mushrooms, feel free to add mushrooms to this recipe. I did buy some asparagus at the store, but if you don't have asparagus, you know, use radishes or zucchini or squash or whatever you really have on hand. That's what I love about kind of creating my own recipe, is that I can just kind of create whatever I have with what I have on hand. I'm going to give these a little bit of a stir. It looks like the water is boiling, so I'm going to drop in the linguine into this pan here. Another little tip that I learned growing up, my mom always said if you add a little bit of olive oil to the water, it will help your pasta from sticking together. I'm going to give this a stir. You can really smell the white wine coming from this other pan here. It smells really good. Give these guys a little bit of a shake. While I am waiting for the pasta to finish cooking, I am going to cut up this asparagus into bite-sized pieces. I have removed the tomato and white wine mixture from the heat because that is done before the pasta is done. But once the noodles are done, I'm going to take those out of the hot water, add them to my large nesting bowl, and then I will be adding the tomatoes, this sauce right here, I guess, on top of the noodles. I'm removing the noodles and adding them to the large nesting bowl, and I am doing that instead of straining them because pasta water is great to add to your sauce if you need to make your sauce more liquidy. If you remember, you added that salt in at the beginning, so it's already flavored, and the starchiness from the noodles also gives it a great flavor. So I'm going to reserve some of my pasta water just in case I need to add it to my noodles later on. Like I said, it's great for adding it to any sauce, or if your noodles get sticky, you could add some to your bowl here and it will help them from sticking together. Like I mentioned earlier, this tomato white wine sauce is finished, so I am going to add it to the top of the noodles here. And then the recipe says to use a separate pan for the next step that we're going to use the basil and the olive oil for. I'm going to be using the same pan because I love this one from Tuxton Hill, and it also means less of a cleanup for me. I'm going to be adding some more olive oil into this pan after it warms up, putting the basil in, and then it's going to make like a basil olive oil, which you're going to drizzle on top of the noodles and the scallops and the shrimp and everything that's in there. It tastes so good. I'm gonna quickly combine everything together while I keep an eye on the basil olive oil because I don't want it to burn. I'm gonna add all this into my bowl. A few extra pieces got loose. Remember, my scallops and shrimp are in the microwave. I'm going to add those on top here. Then next, the basil olive oil goes on top of this, and then we just stir and mix everything together. I'm going to be adding some salt and pepper and also some cheese that I have on hand and stir it all up. I've combined everything together, and of course I have to give it a taste test to see if it needs any more salt or pepper and just to honestly see how it came out. And for dessert, I made an easy chia seed pudding that I am going to serve up in these Tuxton Home ramekin dishes. These are also from the Duratux line. Here we have the finished product. I can't wait to share it with Kevin tonight. Like I said, this is date night done right, an easy date night dinner. It's elegant looking because it's got the seafood and also that layered flavor of white wine, the basil oil, the tomatoes, the fresh asparagus, all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys think or if you decide to make this meal and enjoy. Cooking was a way that my family showed each other that they love each other, and so that's something that I do with Kevin, is that I believe cooking for him shows him that I love him, or cooking for my other family members shows them that I love them too.